on the computer. Okay, and I'll share my screen. Okay, so it went to this screen, and this is something you can all access when you are on your Zoom page. First meeting to note is there's a personal meeting ID. Okay, if you're using a free account, um, Zoom will assign you a 9 or 10-digit number, um, and also a link. So when you are hosting your own meeting, you can just send everybody this highlighted link, send it via email, and when they click on it, they will automatically be in your room. Okay. Now, if you notice, this number is also my personal cell phone number without the zero, because I invested in having my own meeting room so that we don't get cut off every 40 minutes. No? So the nice thing about it is if you have a pro account, which is $15 a month, you can record and you can have unlimited time as far as the meeting is concerned. Now, I just want to highlight that maybe, I'm not sure how it will go, but when the four people who will be our leading the interaction for today are Anne and Anthony for chapters 2, and Ada and Binoy or Leslie for chapter 3. Hopefully there will be no technical issues as far as them sharing their screen, but just in case there is, we'll work around that. No? So, which is why I gave pre-work instructions specifically for the four, to try to create a second account and try to have 2 devices logged on so we can see what you're doing. The other workaround is for you to send me the files so that I can try to share screen from my computer. So anyway, we'll figure that out. We are now on the Excel file which I shared with you on the Facebook page. This serves as a work in progress as far as our schedule, the links to everything that we discuss, and the notes are concerned. So let me just click on a tab which says schedule as of November 24, just to show where we should be, what we should be doing today. So the read chapters 1, 2, 3, the COSA reports are for chapters 2 and 3. We'll take a look at your blogs, how they look, and everybody was assigned to answer questions chapters 1, 2, 3, first on your respective blogs, and then posting your links on our group page. And today you also need to have already submitted your proposed topic for your Facebook marketing plan and why. Okay. The learnings from the 1-minute video should have been on last week. So this is wrong. Okay. We'll have a brief discussion on who your target market is as far as your marketing plan is concerned. So basically, this is what we should cover for today, and also some reminders for the online, offline for next week. Are there any questions so far before we go look at your blogs? Just unmute and then mention anything or clarification. Okay.
Hi, Prof. Can you hear me?
Yes, Peter. You're loud and clear.
Great. Great to be reconnected.
Okay.
I wasn't sure last week whether we were actually allowed to engage with, let's say, professional services. So I used one of my business contacts last week to do my video.
That's absolutely fine, Peter. We appreciate the professional video that you made. So it's fine for the video, but sorry, I have this bad habit of interrupting. Please continue. Peter?
No, I just hope it wouldn't discount or disqualify. And one thing I noticed is so I was reviewing the last week's meeting, the recording, and I noticed that actually the intention of the video was actually for it to go viral, and I saw that you guys voted on it. And then I wasn't actually too, I guess I didn't know that was really the aim before I actually set about doing the video. So maybe if we can identify that in advance.
Oh, okay. No, Peter, the the objective of the exercise was not to make it viral. Okay, it was really to make a 1-minute introduction of yourself and what you do, and or whatever you wanted to share in 1 minute. Um, the exercise after that was just to, just to what, rate or give a um, vote on it in case you wanted to go viral. So that was a separate objective by itself. So we'll just learn from it as a separate activity. So it
Oh,
didn't
okay.
affect the grading or anything, except for the top three, because I promised the top three that they'll get an automatic full credit, 100% for the video, except for the top three. But for the rest, you were right. No mention that you had to create a viral video. It wasn't the objective for that exercise.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So
Yeah. Any tips for full credits for the next one? Just let me know.
no. When I say full credit, because if you look at the syllabus that we have, um, if I use the grade of 3, 3.5, or 4, there's a distortion there because from 3.5 to 4 maybe just a small difference, and there's a big gap to the next level, grade level. So what I actually do is the 0 to 100, 0 to 100 scale. So like if I'm right, 97 to 100 is a 4, 94 to 96 is a 3.5. So I use this continuous scale of 0 to 100 for all the activities, and I just translate those numbers to the final grade on the final number. So I take away the distortions on a per activity basis. I'm not sure if that was clear, but some people reminded me that that was a more fair and more holistic approach to grading all the activities that we do for class. Having said that, last week, a couple of you, not necessarily the top three, earned 100. Some earn 97, some earn 95, etc. Okay, so there's a weight for each activity, which is in the syllabus. So it's all 0 to 100. Use that weight to get to the final number. Now, if everybody gets a chance to get full credit, meaning to get 100 for each activity, there's no special extra effort that's given just to one. It's given to everybody. I hope that answers your question, Peter.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Any questions related to that, guys? To what we did last week? Um, I I actually posted the video late. Apologies for that. And if you noticed, there were two versions of that. I'll bring up the page right now, our Facebook page. If you see me looking left and right, it's because I'm looking at the second computer just to see what you're seeing. Okay, if I go to the announcement, while I'm here, one thing that the way the announcements are showed is based on who comments last. You know, sometimes it's not posted, but this comes up if there's a post or a comment on this particular portion. Okay, so it keeps on rearranging itself, and sometimes it's easy to get lost. So there's I made a special um, thing. You can actually make a post. So I'm looking at how to do it. If you click on it, you can mark a post as an announcement so that it's always on the top of the page. So important stuff can be made as announcements. And although sometimes people miss looking at the announcements, for instance, what you see here is an announcement on our class list and schedule, but you actually have to click see all to see that there are actually two announcements, and you might miss the second announcement. So since I think everybody's here, please, when there's an important thing, I will always mark it as an announcement, and please make an extra effort to read all announcements um, after class, before the next class, and so on. All right. Um, so what's so I now go to the, so, and if you notice on the left side, there's a different tab for discussion and announcements. So you can actually go to announcements by clicking here, and then you can go back to the discussion. Again, the discussion will rearrange itself based on where the last comment was. And since this is a live class, some people comment on assignment 3.1, it goes up, and then this is 3.3 and 3.4. No, it's constantly rearranging. So now I'm looking for the post I made about uh, the recording. Okay, so this is the post on the recording because some people shared some personal info on their videos. I mentioned that I just uploaded this on YouTube and will delete the YouTube video after. That's a precautionary measure. There are actually settings on YouTube where it can be private and limited to selected participants. What I also used is, if you click see more, I actually uploaded the file on my Google Drive. The link is given, and this is how my Google Drive is. So I actually so it's more private than YouTube. It's on my personal account on Google Drive. So this, I don't need to delete right away. For those who wanted to review some of the discussions from last week, if you have this link, if you notice the notation here, anyone with the link can view. So only if you have this link can you view it. So you can play it also. So I'll allow a little more time for people to review this, maybe after next week. Okay. So that was my post on reviewing the session. Okay. If you look at the session itself, for those who haven't tried it, it's actually, it's not that. Okay. If you look at the session, it's actually very multiple WordPress sites. So how do I make a new site? So, okay. So it's actually very nice if you wanted to review certain portions of it as reference. But again, if you look at the recording, this was 3 hours and 40 minutes last week. So you can scroll forward or back, look for certain particular portions of the presentation. Excel sheet right now. You see it? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So that's why I'll delete this video, or might maybe mark it more private, as far as to protect some of the interactions from last week. Okay.
If I may make a suggestion.
Yes.
Is it possible to do timestamps on the video?
Timestamps on the video.
I noticed that sometimes in other YouTube, like very long YouTube videos, you can make, well, some people independently, they just, they will mark underneath the video, like at this time, you start talking about this or that part, okay. or maybe just basic, like, or whenever it just kind of changes big topics.
Okay.
I just kind of find it a little bit hard to go through the video
Okay.
to find certain topics.
You're right, Peter. There's a feature on, I was doing some Zoom tutorials earlier before this class, and they have a feature. I don't know if I can activate it on the level of my account. I have a next to free a pro account, but it says that we can automatically have annotations on what is said um, based on your account. So I'll try to do it, because the nice thing about that is because they will automatically transmute or translate the audio to text. It's easier to search for certain keywords. So if you wanted to look for, say, a keyword video, it will look for all of that on the text annotated version. So I'll try to activate it here. But noted, maybe as we switch, how do you call that, topics, I can make a note on it so that it can, actually when you upload a YouTube video, you can add certain notes or comments under, so that people who read it will be guided, whatever you wanted to share. So so it's a no. So let me just click on more. So add translations. So, no, this is not it. No, but I think there are a lot of things you can do, especially on the privacy settings of certain videos, so that again, only people who you want to see, who you want access, can access the video. So we're getting there. Maybe another thing I might forget before I hand off the discussions to our discussion leaders, just to put this in context, the book, if you've read the chapters are very short but very concise, but they will only become useful if we really exert an effort to find how it is in our own settings. Again, in our work, in what we see as customers, only then does it become useful for us. So the effort to translate that in COSLA form is something, is worth it. All the people who I've taught digital market, or who had digital marketing class with me using that book, has said that it's really, really very powerful. And having read 3 chapters, all of you, I think you will agree that it's a quick and updated what version of what is happening now and what we should notice as marketers. Okay, so the other thing is, for a digital class, offline class, this is actually a big class. Now we have 16 members of the class. So and because of the necessity of grading each member, I have to give equal time and opportunity for everyone. So this is one of those where we have to be equal for everybody. Otherwise, again, for fairness, so we have to give a maximum time for every COSLA reporter, and the time we've given is 20 minutes. But if you imagine 20 minutes for 16 people translates to about 5 hours. 5 hours of our class time will be used up discussing the book. That's fine because we have a total of 32 hours, but we do have to really cut off at 20 minutes. Otherwise, it will run away and it will use up more time than we'd like it to have. Okay, so when I hand off the discussion to somebody to lead the chapter discussion, I will set the timer on my phone. And if you're the lead discussion person, you just have to be conscious that we will cut you off at 20 minutes. So your best stuff, whether it's a game, it's a video, whatever that is, please front load it to the first 20 minutes. And don't feel afraid if we cut you off, because it won't affect the grade anyway. It's just some details will have to be watched or learned by people in the class offline. So are we okay with that? Because once I give somebody more than 20 minutes, I'll have to give everybody more than 20 minutes. Okay?
Yes, sir. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you. So what more admin tasks do we have to cover? Let me just check our schedule. Okay, just back on the Excel sheet. So as you notice, this is a work in process file. You just saw me cut off a portion and paste it on another portion. So you will notice changes on the tab with schedule. No? We will have updates to this constantly. We will also have updates to links. This is the link portion. So on the top row, you see session. For easier sorting, I put in a number so that it's easier to sort. And then if I can put a topic, I will put it. So there are certain rows where the topic is specified and the link. So as we go through the class, we will add links, and you can easily look back or spend a little more time on some links which are of interest or more interest to you than we allowed time in class. Okay. The next important tab is the class notes portion. So all our discussions which may seem important, I'll try to you know, as we discuss it, put it here. So for instance, this is the COSLA discussion last week. There were 2 columns: if you're the presenter, if you're not the presenter, and what you need to do. We also discussed how to choose your topic for the FB marketing plan, the what can be a company, a brand, so on, and why you would choose it. And then the last special class discussion we did last week is the recommended sequence for any comment or assignment. Okay, so quick review because there were some questions for some. So my recommendation as far as sequence is concerned is number 1, create the draft in a Word program. So for each chapter, create a draft, whether it's a reflection question, the what, why of the marketing plan, or any other comment we'd ask you. So compose it there first. Then once you're comfortable with the content, copy and paste it on your blog first. Okay. Once it's on your blog, copy the blog URL, and it's just the URL you will post on our class FB page, FB group. Okay. So what happens now? We said a single work. There are 3 places to put it: on your blog, on your FB group, and there were some challenges for some on posting on my WordPress page. Of the 3 places where you need to put it, that's the most minor. It's nice if you can do it, but really the timestamp when you post it on the FB group is the most critical. Okay, so once you've posted it on the FB group, that's already qualified as a submission. The WordPress is an extra thing we'll learn through for those who are having problems or issues. Did everybody get a problem posting on WordPress, or is just, can I get just a show of hands who had issues posting on WordPress? Just raise your hand, please. Okay. Okay. So raise your hand. So raise, Romel, I see you raising your hand on screen. Try to raise your hand on the window. I think there's a way to raise your hand on the window. I'm now moving to my other computer.
Actually, I'm trying to look at that icon, but it seems there's no icon for that in my screen.
Yeah, I'm also trying to look at it now as a participant. Wait.
Should be in the participants. We click on participants, and you're gonna
Yes.
see the list, and there's where you can find raise hand.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Is that Archie? Archie, was it you commenting?
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, thank you, Archie.
Thank you, Archie.
So yeah, that's where you can access the control on the bottom portion. there's participants, and you can raise your hand there. So I'm counting couple, actually 3, 4, 5 of you having issues. Again, don't worry, it doesn't affect the time you submitted. We'll figure it out. I'll try coming in as another person into my blog and see what's happening. Okay, sometimes the rules change, and it's just a minor adjustment that's needed. So anyway, I've taken too much time already for admin stuff. I'm guessing, I'm hoping chapter 2 is ready. Now, let me just test if using my second computer as a participant, if I can share my screen, so that I'll. No, so let me just try to do it. You cannot start share screen while the other participant is sharing. Okay. So let me just quickly look at if you're all here. There are 18. Who is iPhone? Is that the second person or a duplicate account? Okay. While I'm still on screen share, let me just bring this up. When you click on something on your Zoom account, you can actually click on profile. And when you click on profile, you can actually change your picture. Did that get lost?
Prof,
Yes.
Prof Anthony, I just turned off my iPhone a while ago. I could not see you, so it was just a backup. So I already turned off the iPhone.
Thank you, Anthony. Okay, let me just. All right. Try to see what's happening. Okay, 917857. Joining. So your internet connection is unstable. So what's my point? Actually, when you click on something, you can bring up your profile and change the picture and change the name on your account so that the account name that comes out will be what you wanted. So let me just wait for the screen share to come up. Okay, so for instance, here on my account, I can go to this. I can go to my profile. There's a time lag pala. Just notice there's a time lag from what I see on screen. So it's not showing. So if you click that drop down menu, so it's now bringing up your profile, and you can change your profile name and picture. Okay, so even if it's your iPhone, like Anthony's earlier, you can change it to Anthony's iPhone. Okay, then this is what I mentioned, that you can share the details, the link to anybody who you want to join your meeting. So another workaround, guys, just in case, for who's reporting again, Anne, right? If Anne is reporting and we're not successful in doing the screen share, we will all go to Anne's room and then see her there, because then she will have full control on sharing. Hopefully there's no need to do that, but That's why you need to know your personal meeting ID, which is the 9 or 10-digit number you punch in when you're logging into Zoom. So I'll now stop my share. I'll try to see if I can let's just first look at the sequence. So sequence today is Anne goes first, followed by Anthony, and then Ada, and then Leslie. That's the sequence for the discussions for chapters 2 and 3 today. I'll stop my share and try to hand over control to Anne. Stop share. Okay, and then Anne, can you try to share your screen? Okay, we're seeing that you started screen sharing. All right. So Anne, can you try to prepare your stuff? And when you're ready, I'll start my timer for 20 minutes. Okay. So just please tell us when you're ready.
Okay, we can actually start. So I asked everyone if you guys could download the app called Mentimeter, and if you can open that and enter the code you see on my screen, which is 345087. We'll have a short interactive activity before I start the presentation.
Oh. Nice one, Anne. I tried it. Okay.
So, sir, okay. Sir, wait lang ah. I'm trying to find where I should go so I can see everybody. Where should I go?
Actually, you can't. You can't. You have to go to the right side. You have to go to the right side and scroll down the picture. So, but it's difficult to see everybody.
Okay. Sige, so I'll just leave it at that. So just remember, I won't be seeing anyone, so I would appreciate if you guys can just talk so that I know if I should go on or not. So was everyone able to enter the code and see the first question on your phones
Yes.
or on your device?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
And
Yes.
you could do multiple choice naman.
So,
Hirap naman ito.
I'll start. Yes. Yung iba multiple choice, ito lang. So the first question is, what three words do you associate with connectivity? So there are supposed to be three blanks there. So any one word that you can think of and just submit, that should be fine. And then, so here I can see how many people have already submitted. So there are 3 so far. And then once everyone has their answers in, I'll unhide this image and it will actually show a word cloud based on all the words that you gave. I have 9. Am I waiting for a few more?
By the way, Anne, just to assure you, your audio is coming in.
It's not hard. Okay, thank you.
You're coming in very clear.
Okay, so I have, thank you, sir. I have 11. I will close the voting now. Okay, and based on the words that everybody gave, this was the word cloud that came up, right? So apparently, internet is really very popular when we think of the word being mobile, collaborate, linkage, fast, convenient, phone, interchange, road, Wi-Fi, cloverleaf. That's a new one. I don't know what that means. If whoever put that in wants to share, I think it would be a learning experience for everybody. If not, that's okay. But I will do some research on that later on. First time I've seen that. Okay, so with that, I will move to the next question, which is now a multiple choice, right? If you see an item on TV that you're interested in, are you the type of person who would take out your mobile phone and search for that item online, regardless of what that item is? Right, this is pretty fast. I have 10 more. I have 10 answers so far, 11. And Prof, I hope you're also answering.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay, so I have 12. I'll close the votes. And let's see. Okay, so 9 said yes. Wow, no one said no. And 3 said sometimes. Okay, next question. Are you the type of person who would make online purchases anywhere and anytime? Yes, no, or sometimes, I think are the choices. Okay, let's see what you guys said. Okay, so 4 of you said yes, absolute yes. Again, no one said no, and 7 of you said that you would sometimes do that. Okay, I do have 2 more questions, and the Mentimeter that I have is actually a free version, so there's a maximum of only 2 questions per presentation. So I need you guys to enter a new code, which is on the screen again. It's 166106. And once you're in, you'll see the question, are you the customer who, if you want to buy something inside a store, before actually bringing the item to the cashier, you take out your phone and look for its actual price online, maybe in another store or just in general? Yes, no, or sometimes. So I have 9 responses so far. Okay, so why don't we see what everyone has said. So 2 said yes, 2 said no, and 5 said sometimes. Okay, and the last question is, do you trust your network of family and friends more than the actual brand? Okay, and I have 9 responses again, so let's see. So 2 said yes, none said no, and 8 said it depends, which isn't surprising. This is actually my answer as well, right? It would really depend on, I guess, what the brand is and what I would need to buy. Okay, so I do want to thank everyone for participating in my quick Mentimeter interactive activity. I will now go to my presentation itself. And Prof, I did not use the template you gave, primarily because I started working on this early this week. So I wasn't able to change it anymore when you uploaded the PowerPoint version into the group. So
Perfectly fine,
okay.
Anne. No.
Okay, so I am here. Okay, all right, thank you, sir. So chapter 2 of Marketing 4.0 talks about the paradoxes of marketing to connected customers. And it's actually it was a very interesting chapter for me to read, and I'm quite glad that I needed to report on this. So some of the objectives I hope to achieve after this presentation is first, help you guys, help all of us actually identify a new breed of customer, define what connectivity means, and then go through and understand the three paradoxes that Kotler talked about in the book, which is first, online interaction versus offline interaction, informed customer versus distracted customer, and then the third paradox, which is negative advocacy versus positive advocacy. And lastly, answer the chapter reflection questions. So those are the objectives of my presentation today. So let's start, right? So who is the new customer? If you noticed, the questions that I put in the Mentimeter application earlier were targeted towards asking you how you would act when you purchase something, whether you go to the store or do it online. What Kotler is saying is, the new breed of our customers today are, the middle class. They're very well connected. They like things fast. They're young. They live in the urban places. They have goals. They have a certain lifestyle that they want to maintain. Their life is fast paced. Most of them commute, and they like things very instantly. I guess in layman's terms now, we would call them the millennials. But that essentially is the new customer. So what Kotler was saying was, there are the mature customers, and then there are the new customers. And what's happening is, once those new customers, get cost of your gas, cost of your time. So with what connectivity has done is really it's reduced that cost, and therefore it actually lowered the barriers for companies to enter new markets because of that very low cost. And also, one benefit that connectivity has brought is that it has shortened the time frame in order to build a brand. So let's talk about a few examples of great examples of this happening, right? So if you see on your screen, this is a typical bookstore where 20 years ago, if you needed a book, you would go to the store, look for the book that you want, browse through layers and layers of books. In today's world, you just go to Amazon and you would find your book there. In a similar fashion, if you remember the video rental stores we used to have, in order for us to watch a movie, we would need to rent or buy a DVD or a VHS tape. Now we have Netflix, and that's, on the TV, very convenient, your laptop, even your mobile phones, right? You can now watch movies there. Another example is a record store. So if you wanted to buy a cassette tape years ago or a DVD, we would go there. Now we have Spotify, and there's really no reason for us to leave our homes in order to listen to the latest music that we want to. And lastly, groceries for our homes. We now have Honestbee, which I believe, and I've never tried this. I guess I've heard positive feedback about Honestbee. And so those are just some examples of really how connected we are in today's world. So there are three levels of connectivity. The first being basic. And when we say basic, this is just being connected mobile, through mobile. And the definition is really, the internet is a communications infrastructure. Now, if you go to the second level of connectivity, which is experiential, this is where companies actually have the customers experience their product. So a lot of this is, if you go to mega trade halls and you see setups of different companies, this is their way to be connected with their customers, is to actually let them experience their products in person by themselves. And the third level of connectivity is what we call social, where the strength of the connection is really in the communication and the communities of its customers. So really how we are right now, asking each other, what do you think? Have you experienced this? That's really the social connectivity that we have today. So I'll talk about the first paradox, which is online versus offline interaction. What this essentially means is we have customers who go online. And an example is Twitter, right? So a lot of people, if there's traffic, if there's an accident, they would go to Twitter and look for that. And that's where they would basically depend on news. However, the same person who would actually go to Twitter to look for that, headline, for example, when they go home, they would actually still open their TV and look for it in CNN, right? So that's the paradox. The online is Twitter, however, interaction offline, which is to watch CNN news. Another example is if somebody watches TV and there's a sale of a certain item and there's a number for them to call, which would be very convenient, they would actually choose to go to their phone and purchase that same thing on TV on their phone, right? So the TV is the offline interaction, but they would still find themselves doing it online on their phone. And then the last example for this is watching a trailer or seeing a trailer, for example, in a movie house, right? So the customer's sitting inside, there's a bunch of trailers prior to the actual movie, but that's offline, right? Because you're just in the movie house watching. Guess what? They're going to take out their phones, go to an app such as IMDb, and look for that movie that showed the trailer and probably read, some reviews or look at, more details about the teasers, right? So it's online and offline. And that's what Kotler says the paradox is. Our customers, or the new customers now, like both. They like online and they like the offline interaction. The second paradox is... Sir.
Yes. Check, you have 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So the second paradox is informed versus distracted customer. So right now, and like I mentioned, like I asked during the Mentimeter question, right? Do you rely on your family and friends? Because the customers now are they have so much data available to them, right? They have marketing, they have opinions of family and friends, and their own personal experiences, right? Based on previous examples. They're so informed that it comes to a point where they're actually overwhelmed. And sometimes, because of so much information, they actually can't make their decision on whether to buy something or not. And the challenge of marketing going forward is to actually be able to win customers' attention and create brand conversations in customer communities. And then the third paradox is negative versus positive advocacy. And I know Sir mentioned this last week, right? Advocacy is a new definition of loyalty, and it's actually word of mouth. Kotler talked about NPS, which is Net Promoter Score, which is actually the willingness of somebody to endorse and recommend the brand to family and friends. And there are two kinds of feedback. There's spontaneous, which is actively recommended. It rarely happens. That means the customer has a strong feeling, whether negative or positive. And then there's prompted advocacy, where it's triggered by others. So if somebody has a positive review, what happens is, somebody gives a negative review and vice versa. And that's what this is, right? So there can be positive advocacy and negative advocacy, and each actually depend on one another. So with that, sir, I think I'm right at 20 minutes. So if a brave soul wants to share
No, you have
their
1 minute
answer,
left, Anne. You have 1 minute left.
I have 1 minute left. Okay, so if there's a brave soul out there who in 30 seconds can share their answer to the reflection question for chapter 2, that would be greatly appreciated. So I'll pause and ask if there's a brave soul out there. None. That's fine. We can finish the time by waiting, and then that's actually sir my last slide, right? So again, just going through the objectives. These are the items that I talked about during the presentation. And with that, I want to thank everyone for taking 20 minutes to listen to me speak. And that concludes my presentation on Chapter 2 of Kotler's Marketing 4.0.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a good first benchmark for what is a good discussion. So that's my alarm sounding that it was 20 minutes. So very good benchmark, guys. Really applying the concept to what we see and experience. And the Menti meter test was a real good interactive activity as well. So I hope everybody will have something to learn from. I certainly didn't know Mentimeter before now, but I'll probably use it in a lot of other digital activities, whether work or school or personal use. So very good. And I won't hesitate to say that for that effort, Anne, you get full credit of 100 for that session. So so that's a small reward for I know there's been a lot of work to do what you did for today. So yeah, Romel is clapping. So yeah, thank you for making our 20 minutes worth it. And I won't waste too much time again. I'll quickly proceed to if there's any comment on Anne that's good. If you notice, she showed on her presentation her blog link. And that's what you like to do, to have people go beyond the actual presentation and stay connected with you. So that was a good thing. Another good thing is the summary. She summarized what she said, and that's something that I actually require for all presentations in my class. Introduce what you will say and summarize it at the end. So that was good. And yeah, if everybody can do something similar, all the hours discussing Kotler will be worth it. So very excellent job, Anne. Unfortunately, Anthony, it's your turn. No, and it's always hard coming off a very benchmark presentation, but we'll see. We'll see, Anthony, what you have to share with us. So I see Anthony laughing. Anthony, are you ready? Try to set up. Anne, stop.
I'm afraid, Prof. I may not have that courage anymore to present because the bar is so high. That was set by Anne. So would you mind if I skip my presentation?
No.
Because you have set a lot of parameters right now, and I'm so afraid to go on and somehow at least meet the kind of quality of presentation Anne did.
No,
Oh
so
my God.
So, Anthony, sorry to cut you off. So, sir, I do have one other request, and you guys can do this offline. So, I will ask for feedback. I posted the code for Mentimeter in our chat. So I always do that. I try to do that rather when I do a presentation. So if you can have the time to just answer 2 questions. It's not multiple choice, but it doesn't matter to me how many words you put there. Just I just hope you take the time and give me the feedback. Thank you, sir. And then off to you, Anthony.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Anne, can you post that link to the chat? Did you post the numbers on chat, on our chat thing so that we can, and that's again another good habit to have in presentation, getting feedback so that you can improve, learn from what happened. You know, so kindly post it on the chat window. So Anthony, kindly set everything up. Try to click. Peter mentioned doesn't work for me. Peter, can you expound what you mentioned doesn't work for me?
Sorry, the code in Mentimeter, I just put it in and it says code could not be found. Please try again.
Oh,
Okay. I'll fix it, Peter. It's 195926, right?
Okay. So it's you typed wrong, man.
Oh, I typed wrong. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Sorry.
Yeah. That it's not working. It's not working. Yes. And Anthony, I haven't started your time. Kindly prepare anything or any window or that you need. And once you start speaking, that's when I'll start your 20 minutes.
Just a question, sir. Are you seeing now the paradox of connectivity by Chris Arends, the one that I shared?
Yes,
now?
it's clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you can start now my time. Please. Thank you.
Yeah. Please start, Anthony. Go.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to show you more videos rather than presentation. I have not, I'm sorry, I have not followed the COSLA template. Our V coach Bong shared with us, but this is somehow related to and will interpret Cutler's chapter 2 topic. So I'll start this lecture through this paradox of connectivity by Chris Arends.
Now I'm going to give you a little bit of a concept here. This is what I call, and I forgive me if somebody else has come up with this at some other time. I didn't do my homework in that regard, and I apologize. But it's what I call the paradox of connectivity, and what I also call the isolation principle.
have the audio,
Let me give you an example of what this is. So, the social media was this. Well, step back even further. The internet was this great communication tool. Social media was this great connectivity tool that allowed a person to connect with anybody, regardless of their geography. When I was on the agency side and trying to talk about social media to my clients was, just imagine you're in a book club in 1985. That book club is largely dictated by the geography of where people are. It's essentially in your own city. Social media allows you to have a book club with people around the world. Very simple concept, right? I can connect with anybody, anywhere. It makes our world that much smaller. But with it is this idea that, well, hold on a second. While I can connect with everybody and everybody's just one step away from me, I actually choose very specific topics that I'm interested in and that half the people that I'm probably friends with are not interested in. And so you start to isolate yourself, hence the isolation principle, into the various things that you like. And as we all know about Facebook algorithms and AI, it starts to try to personalize that for you. And what's the one thing we learned out of this general election? Is that there's no bigger of a divide in this country than there is today between the right and the liberals. And what caused that? Everybody will probably have read all of those articles that say, oh, Facebook's fake news, the algorithm this, the other thing that. But the reality is we look for and we like and we continue to engage with things that we agree with, not the things that we don't agree with. And so what happens? Oh, he likes that, I'm going to put more of that there. Ooh, he likes that too, I'm going to put more of that there. But there's this other side, this other perspective that is not getting even noticed or even paid attention to. And it's happening to both sides of the equation, and it creates a chasm. So it's the paradox, right? I'm connected to anybody here, but at the same time, I'm going to engage, and I'm going to be more connected to the people that think like me, that act like me, that behave like me, which means my perspective is lost. So I'm isolating myself. Why is this important? Well, as media buyers, if we are losing our jobs to computers from a decisioning standpoint, what else are we losing here? We're losing the nuances of what the audiences are and where they are. And here's the best example I can give you. And I apologize, it goes back to this general election, but this is where this whole thing sort of solidified for me. We know that the white male 18 to 34-year-old person who owns an SUV and lives in, let's just say San Diego County and has 2 kids and a wife and everything that is on FoxNews.com is inherently different than that same person on CNN.com. There's a nuance there, and if you send that wrong message to the Fox News person, or the person on that site, than to the person on the CNN site, you could have a bigger backlash than you could have in terms of performance than ever before. And those are the nuances, and that very general, I get that, but I'm trying to make the point. Those are the nuances that are getting lost because there's semantic differences that computers just don't know how to handle yet. So there's opportunity there, guys. There's absolutely opportunity. Meredith, one of our sponsors, just talked about this. There's a bigger way for us to connect with and understand how to use our brands that we're all representing, how to use media in such a way that we increase the associative value of the placement. Marshall McLuhan said, media is the message, and he's not wrong. If you're associating yourself with Fox News, that says something about you. If you're associating yourself with CNN, that says something about you. Don't forget.
Okay. I'm going to switch over to the Emerson application of the paradox. Allow me to share. I would like to apologize. I could not post this on Facebook for some reason, but I'm going to share this to the class.
Anthony, what I'll do, because you mentioned earlier that this is confidential, I'll pause recording so it will not come up in the record of this class. So guys, if there's anybody else sharing private or confidential information, just mention to me so that I can pause recording. So I'm pausing recording now, but you can continue, Anthony.